Greetings everybody and welcome to Just a Normie channel. If you're new, please like, subscribe, and share. And today we're going to talk about some weird, fun facts about Marvel Comics back in the early days of Marvel. And the reason I am doing this is from my own training in college and when I got my degree and stuff like that, I did a lot of analytical researching, and I'm doing this for myself as a normie because I want to learn a lot of things, and this is how I do things and stuff. I hope that you guys like it. I know a lot of my regulars really enjoy these kind of fun facts. I know I don't get a lot of likes and shares and stuff like that, but you know what? It doesn't matter to me. I'm not on YouTube to make money. I make good money in the job that I do for a living. So I do this because I wanted to do it during COVID. And so here we go. During the early days of Marvel Comics, there was an outright ban on werewolves. In 1954, the Comics Code of Authority was established to help make comics more family-friendly and contained more kid-friendly material. They were really wanting to cut down on the violence and gore that was taking up space in the glossy pages of comic books. This also resulted in Marvel Comics having to excommunicate werewolves. How weird, right? The famous publisher was forced to ban these terrifying creatures. This bizarre inclusion into their just cause was mainly because they wanted to discourage the horror genre altogether. How odd, isn't it? But you know what? 50s were really, really weird about things. I mean, they allowed certain things, and then they kind of did things like this that didn't make any sense. Luckily for all of those die-hard werewolf fans out there, in 1971, the ban was eventually lifted on classic monsters of the horror genre. The catch was to utilize these creatures, they had to relate to classic literature from the bodies of Edgar Allan Poe and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, among others. Once the shackles came off, however, there was a slew of werewolf-related stories released. One even included famous Marvel character Captain America during into Cap Woofin' the early 90s. And if you guys don't know, the 50s and the 60s were a very, very different time in American history and all that. They would ban things for, there was a lot of like morality laws on the books and stuff like that, So, but that was kind of like, I don't know, like indecency shit, you know what I'm saying? And all that. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? So, another one of these is one of their prominent artists was a magician, fire eater, and a thief. The 1960s comic Nick Fury, an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., was a significant series that contained the source material that would inspire several movies, TV shows, and later on down the line. Starocco was also really into magic and was himself a decent magician. He was considered an amateur Houdini enthusiast who would put on shows involving live burials and other death-defying examples of art and escapology. Among his many talents, he was also a fire eater and a thief. He stole guns, cars, trucks, and at one point was arrested for these law-breaking deeds. This Marvel artist's life can only be described as being stranger than fiction. That's interesting, isn't it? That's cool, though. In another tidbit, Marvel's founder narrowly escaped dying in the Hindenburg incident. Martin Goodman created Timely magazines in 1937. In 1951, this organization became known as Atlas Comics until finally, in 1961, it would become known as Marvel Comics. And in the modern era, this entity has become one of the world's most famous publisher of comic books of all time. But there was almost a chance Mr. Goodman could have died months before the start of the Timely comics, thus meaning that Marvel would have never existed. But do you think it probably would have, but it probably would have happened a lot later? Maybe, history has a strange way of working out, you know what I'm saying? Goodman was returning from his honeymoon when he planned to take the Hindenburg back to the United States. He was late in the securing tickets, resulting in not being able to obtain a seat next to his new bride. Instead, the new couple was forced to take a plane. The Hindenburg infamously crashed, killed 35 people. There was almost a chance the man behind Marvel would have been on that tragic ride with no superheroes to save him and his spouse when it all went down. Talk about dodging a bullet, huh? That's kind of funny, huh? You know? In another interesting information, the Transformers universe was created with the help of Marvel. Marvel Comics are famous for creating extraordinary characters and surrounding them in narratives that push the boundaries of storytelling, resulting in a truly unique experience for readers of all ages. So it makes sense the big name companies like Hasbro would reach out to publishing powerhouse when it needed help with its new acquisition, the Transformers. They purchased the rights to these vehicles that turned into giant robots from a Japanese company called Taraka in 1980s and needed to repackage them for U.S. sales in the U.S. So Hasbro sought out Marvel editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. Shooter called upon writers Bob Budiansky and Dennis O'Neil to solve this robotic conundrum. O'Neil came up with the idea for Optimus Prime, the leader of the good guy Autobots, and Budiansky created his arch-enemy and leader of the Decepticons, Megatron. Shooter then put together a treatment of 8 pages in length, outlining the rivalry between the two factions, the backstory, and a short breakdown of the character's personality. This just goes to show how good Marvel is at its job. Not so much these days, is it? I think that's just really cool information, though, to be honest. In another area, one famous Marvel artist later turned to pornography. Daredevil is one of Marvel's most popular masked vigilantes in all of comics. The blind lawyer by day and ninja warrior by night has been adapted into movies, television shows. The man behind the characters and famous design iconic red suit is none other than popular Marvel artist Wally Wood. While he is known in many circles for his accomplishments in the glossy pages of comic books, he is also known for drawing some X-rated materials. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, they did some romantic comic books and some spy thrillers and stuff like that. I mean, no porn, but still, they adventured into other areas that were never really accomplished. So, I think no matter what it is or what kind of genre it is and stuff like that, I think, if it interests you and you can do it well, what's the problem, right? During the illustrator's twilight years, he assumed a different identity. He would go by a pen name Wallace Wood and utilize his talents for pornography. He would draw graphic narratives involving such innocent characters like Disney's Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. He also put together something called Disney Orgy, which pretty much speaks for itself in the title. When Disney bought Marvel in 2012, it would appear that they had forgotten all about Wood's naughty drawings. I think that's hilarious. But, so I'm going to wrap this up. This is episode 1 of 2 and stuff, because we're getting almost to 10 minutes for the first part of this. So I'm going to go to part 2 and all that. So take care, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think on these kind of fun facts, all right? Bye.